How are you?
Good morning, Shannon. I'm good. And yourself?
I am doing great. I just got done watching a very cool video about spinning yarn.
Ooh.
It's linked below. It was yours.
Oh, okay.
You
Where
probably
I
don't
was,
need to you probably don't need to go rush out and watch it. You've seen it. You edited it.
yeah. Yeah, I made it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I see Mama Winch is in the chat already. Good morning, Mama Winch. How are
Good
you?
morning.
She is, I've been chatting with her a little bit this morning, but she lives in a camper and
Oh,
she's,
cool.
I guess, redoing her room. And I don't know exactly her plan, but I guess she's putting a new bed or something like that in there so that she can actually put storage up underneath her bed for her yarn. So
Nice.
I
I
know,
am kind of obsessed with videos where, like camper redo videos and like schoolies where people take a school bus and turn it into a house.
yeah,
I have no intention on doing that, but I am just obsessed with watching those.
yeah. I know we used to live in a camper when me and my husband got first married, and storage and then things are like slim to none. So,
Yeah.
especially when you've got a yarn collection, yeah,
Yes.
you need all the storage you can get.
I have a older video on my channel
Mhm.
where we bought a 1970s camper and gutted it, changed the layout. It's very, very small. It's like 16 foot. There's no bathroom or anything. It's just real tiny. But I put a lot of crochet in it. And my husband was fine with that. He didn't care. Like I did like crochet curtains and like a beaded door curtain out of crochet and stuff. And the video's kinda like, it's okay. Maybe I should do a refresh now that I can film a little bit better, but, I did have fun decorating it with so much crochet.
I remember that video, and I think you did an awesome job.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So I see Lana. I think that is that how you pronounce her name? Lana, Elizabeth, Rapid Ratman, all in the chat. Thank you guys for coming in. How are
Good
you guys
morning.
doing? So Mama Winch said living room redo to put in the queen bed for a day bed. Awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were when we were going to redo our daughter's room and we were going to actually put a day bed in her room, but we ended up doing a loft bed instead.
Mm.
Elizabeth says she loves your glamper.
Ooh, thank you. I did have fun doing it, but I literally just came in, like, in the last 10% of being done where I was like, "Let's put this on the wall here." I wasn't the one, like, putting electric in or putting new flooring or, like, building a countertop or walls. I'm just like, "Hmm, I'd like this picture here."
Yep, the decorator.
Yep,
Yep.
yep.
Yep. That's right now we're in the midst of redoing our laundry room.
Mm.
So my husband has put me to work. He we it was like perfect timing somehow because our neighbors redid their deck. So they're constantly burning stuff, but we seen that they had a big old pile of their decking board. So we went over, or we asked them if they were like what was their plans, if they were doing with it or they were just going to burn it. And we looked at it. I mean, it needed to be sanded down, so we took our planner and just sanded it down. And I mean, there we go. So
Mhm.
that's what my husband had me doing was sanding down the wood and all, but and staining it. But most of everything he's done, I like to decorate, so leave the decorating up to me because he would have it all kind of like jacked up, and I'm like, nope, you do the handy manny work. I'll do the decorating.
Mhm.
So, so Racine, good morning, and Michelle, good morning to you too.
Mhm.
So, do you have anything planned today?
No, we have had I've had an awesome week because I've got to hang out with my yarn bestie twice this week, so that's cool. But on the flip side, our um my in-laws, I love them. We're close to them, but they because of their health issues, my mother-in-law had a m pretty extensive surgery, and so it's just been crazy, like, it's about an hour to their house. They used to live
Mhm.
about 5 minutes from us, but they live about an hour now, and, we've had, like, 2 days this week where my husband's had to work, like, a 10-hour shift at work and then go drive an hour up to their house and then stay
Mhm.
overnight with them. So it's been a little bit, chaotic, and, I think when he gets home today, he's probably not gonna wanna do anything at all.
I don't blame them. I do not blame them at all.
I did get a super cool surprise, though. Yesterday, there was a lady that came in our office, and we've been talking about yarn and crochet for a while, like, for, like, probably about a year and a half. Like, she is the person who didn't know what a temperature blanket was, and then I told her, and she managed to do hers, and then I totally failed at mine, and she'd come in and be like, "Oh, how's your temperature blanket?" And I'm like, "Terrible."
Dead. Dead.
Um, but she was in my office yesterday and she was like, "Yeah, I have this bag of yarn from my sister and it's not really stuff I use. Would you be interested in it?" And she's like, "Let me go out to my car." And it is a giant Costco bag. It's like giant.
Mhm.
And it has like fancy pants yarns in it. So I'm like super excited. I have been digging through it already. There is like just blends that are nice, like cotton and silk, and then there's like some linen, and pretty much everything else is wool. Like it's all
Wow.
nice stuff. I asked her if I could pay her, and she said no. She said she took out the things that she liked out of it. I think she is more of like a worsted acrylic, like, is more what she's looking
Okay.
for.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just wasn't stuff she
Mhm.
wanted, but it is like, I've already been digging in it. I was super excited, so that's
Well,
probably
you'll
what
have
my
to
plans are gonna be, is go through that some more.
go and organizing, yeah. You'll
Because
have
there
to,
was
I was gonna say, you might have to do a video and show us exactly what all
I
you
think
got
I will.
since
I think I'm
it's
gonna
been
do it in my, I think I'll send it out in my, like, my email,
okay.
my monthly email, do a haul in there. Um, just I don't know, it's just so specific and, like, you'd never be able to probably buy these yarns, because 'cause they're probably all, like, discontinued by now. But yeah.
Well, still pretty cool.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
C CNY Woman Knits and Crochet. She says it is her first time seeing us live working on a shawl with homespun.
Well,
Awesome.
welcome,
What kind of shawl are
welcome.
you working on? And then
So
Lisbeth said temperature blanket.
homespun is
Go ahead.
such, like, a love it or hate it type of yarn. I
Yeah.
feel like once I got the hang of it, I really started liking it, and, you can make just absolutely beautiful stuff out of it, but it is hard to get the hang out of, I feel like. It's the one that's, like, real thick, and it's got all these bumpies in it, and it kind of like when you're working with it, it's really hard to see your stitches, and then it's really kinda grabby, so you have to, like, really kinda be okay just shoving your hook in and then yanking out, but it is,
Mhm.
like, it's gorgeous.
Did Hobby Lobby used to have some at one point?
Probably. I know Joanne does still sell it. Um,
Because if Hobby Lobby did have some that was similar to it, then I
mhm.
think I actually got some. My sister was wanting a like rainbow beanie, and him and his mom, when we lived in West Virginia, they went up to Hobby Lobby, and I told him, I said, I need a rainbow colored yarn or whatever. And so he picked that yarn out, and it had like purple, pink, yellow. And I'm like, this is not rainbow. And they're both like, yeah, it is. And I'm like, no, where's the red and where's the orange? And like, this is not rainbow to me. This is like unicorn, like throw up.
Mm.
And I'm like, take it back, please, because I'm not going to use it. I didn't like
So
it. I didn't like the way it looked or nothing. So,
yeah, not
yeah,
only did they not get you rainbow, they also got you like the hardest yarn to work with ever.
yeah, yeah. So, Elizabeth says Hobby Lobby has a dupe. I
Yep,
got
that's what.
some,
Yep, yep. It's probably the one you got.
maybe. It was a few years ago, so I don't remember exactly what it was, if it was actually called hand spun or if it was something different. So, so I've taken up a new hobby, I guess you would say. It's still in the fiber arts, but I'm learning needle tatting.
Ooh, that is
Yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah. So this is my very first earring, my very first, if I can get it situated right, uh, very first finished product with needle tatting. So
Beautiful. I'm a
thank
little scared to ask, how long did it take to make that?
really following its tutorial, maybe an hour,
Oh,
maybe.
that's not as bad as I thought then.
Nope. I mean, I tried needle tutting at the beginning of this year, but I didn't really understand it. So I got done with the cow print blanket that I was working on,
Mhm.
and I was like, I'm just going to go for it. So I started needle tutting. And
That's why I don't think it's bad to have, like, supplies on hand or, like, not to be hard on yourself if you buy craft supplies and then don't, like, get into them. Because it's like sometimes you just need to be in that right mind space to learn something new or to understand it or whatever, and then
mhm,
it's like when that inspiration hits, you can just, bam, start
yeah,
on it.
that's how it was with knitting for me because I tried knitting um, before, and I could not understand it at all at the time that I tried knitting. And then probably about a year later, I tried knitting again, and I mean, boom, I got it. I mean, granted, I was twisting my stitches. I didn't know that, but I understood it a lot better.
Mhm.
Eventually, I learned that I was twisting my stitches, but like you said, you just got to be in that right mindset.
Yep.
So I know you're kind of going on that hand spun, wanting
Yes.
to dye
So
yarn.
I did just yesterday order a drop spindle, some roving, and then like some little wooden things so I could like check to see how thick it, like
Yeah.
to check
Okay.
how thick it was and like that
Yeah.
type of stuff. So I'm assuming there's probably a lot more supplies I need, but
Not with the drop spindle, not. Now, eventually, like you may want to invest if you're going to try applying. I would invest in a lazy Kate
mm,
or, yeah, a lazy Kate. And then if you're wanting to hang up the yarn, you don't necessarily have to hang it up. But the reasoning for hanking is when you do hand spun, you do have to let the yarn soak so that it kind of sets the twist, and then you also kind of thwack it and stretch it out.
I did
Um,
watch your video on that.
so,
Seemed like a good way to get out some rage.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And so, like for drop spinning starting off, that's the basics. But eventually, you'll have to look into getting a yarn swift, maybe a nitty knotty. Um, you can bypass a nitty knotty with the yarn swift.
I've got a Swift, so that's
Okay.
helpful. You are gonna be able to explain this question better than I am, but
Mhm.
Lana says, "What's a drop spindle?"
So, a drop spindle, it's I'm not very skilled in them because I've never used a drop spindle, but for a lot of people who are starting spinning, that's what they use. And there, the parts of it, there's a wool that's kind of like a circular thing, and usually there's a dowel rod going through it, and then you either have a top roll or a bottom roll, meaning that there's like a hook that's on the top, and you like attach it to that hook, I believe, and then you just like twist it. You're drafting and twist it. I can't really explain it that well because I've never really used one, and I wish I had one to show you actually how to use it. But it's just pretty much you're drafting. It's the same thing as a spinning wheel.
Yeah, like, the reason I went with a drop spindle, Lana, is just because it was the most affordable way to try out spinning yarn. I feel like it might be one of the more difficult ways because I think it requires a lot more, like, hand-eye coordination, which is not my strong point. Um, so there is that aspect, but, it cost me, like, $20, so it wasn't bad. Um so, yeah, it's just I would say, like, probably the most affordable way to get into spinning yarn if that's something that's I will definitely do a video on my first impressions on what I bought and how that's working and everything, so, um yeah, I mean, it's something where, I totally believe Sydney, and if you invest in a larger piece of equipment, you can probably sell it on a website like Facebook Marketplace or something like that pretty easy and probably recoup most of your money. Um, so, I mean, there is that option, but I don't know, I just thought, "Well, I'll try this," so
Or I mean, you can also, if you, because I know you were looking at a spinning wheel. If
Mhm.
you don't like it, it does take, especially when you are starting off on a manual spinning wheel, it does take some time getting used to. Um, but I mean, if you don't like it and you don't feel like going forth with it, you can also probably take it to like an antique shop and they
Oh,
might be
yeah,
able to, yeah.
that's a
I,
good idea too.
I don't know if you, I guess they would pay you to, I guess you would sell it to them. I don't know if you would actually get any. I don't know how that works because I've never dropped anything in an antique shop. But I'm assuming that's another way that you could get money for it.
Technically, I actually have a booth in an antique shop, but it is the biggest failure. So, there is a town close to me, and it's, like, where our family anyway, it's a whole thing. So, the town is, like, maybe 5, 600 people, and we have like historical sites there. It's like cool old stuff and like a blacksmith shop and just some different stuff like that. And they're only open like a couple days a year.
Hmm.
And we have this mercantile. And it's kind of a joke. Like there's stuff like a few of us have booths there, but, it's it's never open. So, it's open from, like, 10 to 3, Monday through Friday. So, like, literally no one can shop there unless you're retired and know about it and live in that town. So, like, basically, I just have, like, anything that does sell, I just have it donated back into the historical society fund because, it's literally like $10 in sales a month maybe. So I'm just like, "Oh, this turned out to be a giant donation," but,
Well,
um, I'm still okay with it. If I wasn't, I would go get my stuff and bring it
right,
home, but
right.
I'm just like,
It is what it is.
"Yes, yes."
So, crochet your way today. She says Navajo spinning is fascinating. Yes, and it's something that I am wanting to try.
I've never
So,
heard of it.
you've, if you've heard of it, it's also called chain plying.
Okay,
Um, it so pretty much how you start off and continue through. It is kind of a, I think, a difficult concept at first. So pretty much you start off with a one ply, but it turns into a two ply.
okay,
Using a single, but you make, when you first start spinning, you make like a loop, and then it's kind of like making a crochet thread, but with, or not crochet thread, crochet chain, but spinning at the same time and making a chain.
very cool.
Yeah, it's, I've seen some people do it or even talk about it, and it is kind of just one of those things that you do have to practice because it does take a lot to get it down. So she said she's not talking about chain plying.
Hmm.
So I thought Navajo spinning was chain plying. So what is Navajo spinning then? Is that where it's got the, you got like a bracelet? Like you wrap the yarn around your wrist like a bracelet. I don't know. I guess I
I'm, like,
don't know
trying to
my
position
Navajo.
myself so this, like, bead of sunlight isn't right
Oh,
in my eyes. I'm
yeah.
struggling here. Sorry if you see me fidgeting.
No, you're good. I had that issue yesterday when trying to record. It was like, get out of my eyes.
Serious.
It's annoying. So, good morning, oddballs. Good to see you here. And I see Thrifty Crocheter. Good morning to you. And then Jerry, I guess
Mhm.
Jerry, is that how you say it?
Jerry?
Sorry, guys, I'm horrible at pronouncing names and
I
pronouncing
know,
really
I'm
cool
always
things.
like, I feel like if it was just me reading names, like, to myself in the privacy of my own home, I'd probably get everybody's name right, but then when you have the pressure, you don't wanna say it wrong in front of the person, and then you're like, "Bleh," and you say it wrong.
Right, right. So she said it's a giant spindle you roll against your leg. Hmm. Okay, so it, isn't there another name for that though? I don't know. I know you got like the floor drop spindles, which I kind of talked about those a little bit in my beginner spinning series. But there's another one, a spinning wheel that's really, really cool. I can't remember what exactly it's called, but it's kind of like a whirl and it's on the floor. It's I think it's called like a foot spindle or something like
Hmm,
that. But you're like kicking it in a way
hmm.
or moving the whirl or spindle with your foot. It's really, really cool.
It looks
Support
like we got,
spindle.
Megan here and Marquita's here.
Yes, that is what I was looking for. Was support spindle. That's what I was looking for.
The what? I missed it.
Support spindle. And then Meg
Oh,
saying
okay.
Meg is yeah, it's a kick spindle. I'm glad I'm not the only one that I'm glad there's somebody or a few people in here that also know about what I'm talking about.
Like, that validation that you're not crazy, like, someone does know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So Jerry, okay. Yeah, they're really cool to watch somebody use the kick spindles because it's different. It's different.
But you think about, like, how long spinning has been invented. I mean, and we're looking at thousands of years, and
Hmm.
how long before the internet was invented and how different cultures all learned how to kind of achieve similar results with completely different techniques with the supplies that were available to them in different parts of the world,
Hmm.
is really amazing.
Yeah, it is, and um, it's kind of like a lost one of those lost arts. And I'm
Mhm,
glad it's kind of in a way making a comeback because I mean
mhm.
it's fun and to me it's almost kind of like taking yourself back to
Yeah.
almost the basics, especially when you're on a manual spinning wheel.
Mhm.
It's cool.
Oh, oddballs, yeah. That is a tough one. That is a tough one.
Yeah, I would have been mad too. Mad too. It's a lot of the reason why I got into spinning is my husband's mom. Their family actually has a flax spinning wheel that's been in the family for 200 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so I wanted to start learning how to spin so that my daughter can inherit it down and actually know what to do with it.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons why I got into spinning was because of that reasoning.
I guess the thing for me is that, I mean, I do love the history of it, but I guess just from, like, a practical point of view, like, I feel like I got a lot of cool yarn. I feel like there's cool yarn out there, but I'm
Hmm.
kinda just like, I don't know, I kinda just wanna try to make something super cool.
Yeah, make your own. Because I
Yeah.
mean, everybody spends differently. And the way, like, if I was to get the same braid as if you were to get, it'd be kind of different because there's just so many different techniques that you can
Mhm.
use. You may spin different than I do, whether that be, thinner or thicker. I mean, each piece looks different. So I think
And
that's
I
what's
guess
so
I'm not
cool.
really expecting my first several projects to turn out very what do you do?
No.
I guess that here's a valid question. What do you do with those first few, like, batches that you spin and you're like, "Oh, this is not the greatest ever made." Like, what do I do with it?
Well, for with drop spending, it's going to be a little bit different than how I did it because I used an electric spinning wheel, and I spun at least 3 times, and I had it pretty much down. Um, but I mean, either you can save them and not do anything with them, or I mean, I guess it's really whatever you want to do. That
Hmm,
or well, if you apply it, I was going to say you might be able to untwist it and then do something with it. I don't know. Kind of, if you were to get hand carders later on, you might be able to hand card it out and
m'kay.
then retry. I don't know, depending on how you do spin it.
Well, that's the thing. I guess I'm not setting my, standards super high in the beginning, or
Yeah,
I'm not, like, putting a lot of weight on it, like, "Oh my gosh, this needs to be great," you know?
right. Yeah, because it is going to take a lot of time. You've got to get that muscle memory built up, and
And
then
Meg says, "Make weird wall hangings." I do love a good weird wall hanging. Like, I've got some owls downstairs, so
good morning, Susan. But yeah, I mean, I think you'll have lots of fun with it. And again,
yeah.
just take your time and get used to it. And then
Mhm.
eventually, if you want to get electric spinning wheel or a manual or whatever, then
Yep.
so be it. Or you can just go into dyeing yarn. like we just
I
talked.
did get some dyes,
Ooh,
so
what kind of dye did
I
you
just
get?
got, like, the jacquard ones,
Okay.
and I had ordered them off of Knit Picks when they were having, like, a site-wide 30% off sale,
Hmm.
so they ended up being, like, I wanna say, like, $3.50 a piece.
Hmm.
I thought it was a pretty good deal, and I
Yeah.
thought, "Well, I'm not 100%, like, ready. I feel like I need to study a little bit more, and I
Hmm.
don't have supplies, like, I don't have, like, a separate stainless steel pot, like, I need to go to the thrift store and get a few things,
Yeah.
because apparently you cannot use your normal cookware to dye
Yeah.
in and then expect to cook in it again,
Yeah.
so I need to make it to a thrift store and find some of those things, um, but I thought it was a good opportunity to purchase those, and then I'll show you what I did get too.
Okay.
I also got at the same time I bought some of the Knit Picks bear yarn.
Yep.
So this is palette. It's fingering weight. Um okay, I'm gonna be honest here. I got new contacts the other day, and I don't know if they're the right prescription
Mhm.
or if they're over prescribed, but I have to, like, put on reading glasses now with my contacts.
Hmm. That or your eyes could just be trying to get adjusted to them.
Used to them, yeah.
Yeah.
All I know is now I can see the label perfectly, so, so yeah, this is, it says 100% Peruvian Highland wool,
Mhm.
and I got 2 of those, and like I said, this was all 30% off, so I felt like it was fairly decent time. I also got 10 of these little, mini skeins, and these are Peruvian wool. Oh, it's the same thing as this,
Okay.
but these they normally sell for $1.50, and again, all 30% off, so
Mhm.
I thought those would be fun to practice on. That's kinda what they have it listed at on the
Mhm.
website is, like, kind of practice yarn a little bit. But then I did get one of this gloss roving as well that I thought would be fun to dye. So
Just
I don't know.
if you dye that fiber, just be very, very careful because if you've got to making sure when you're dyeing fiber to seriously let it cool down by itself.
Mm.
The temperature changes can, what type of wool is that? Because I know like a superwash, you can't really, from what my understanding is, you can't veld it, but if you like drastically change the temperature, you will velt your fiber.
And that will turn it into one giant glob that you can never come apart, right?
You can, but it is going to take some work. A
I
lot of
don't
like,
wanna do that. Yeah,
yeah,
so this says it is 70% merino and 30% silk top.
okay, okay.
This
So
is what
yeah,
happens when a person with no experience shops on a website. But I made sure the one thing I did make sure of is that I got everything was a protein, fiber. I made sure there wasn't any plant fiber in it.
yeah,
So, that was the one thing I learned from you. So
yeah. Because I believe with plant fibers, maybe you do have to, because I don't know, like, I'm still learning a lot too about dyeing, but I think with plant fibers, you do have to, like, with the acidic dyes, which is the jacquard that you got,
Mhm.
I think you do have to change what you soak your fibers in.
Okay.
So, because I know there was one person, I can't remember what they were dyeing, like what the fiber content was, but they were dyeing with coffee. And they had to use something, I can't remember what exactly it was, but most people either use, when they're using acidic dyes, they use vinegar, white distilled vinegar, or citric acid. So I think you do have to change it up if it's a different type of like a plant fiber or
Fiber.
synthetic. And I
And
know,
I do have both. I'm a canner, so I have both both citric acid and white vinegar.
yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, so this was like the little dyes. I
Mhm,
got like a handful of these, like maybe 5 different ones. So,
mhm.
um, yeah, we will see. I'm like I said, I'm not ready to do it, but I liked the price on everything. So there we are.
Right. Meg's on the ball. She said you need a mordant for plant fibers, and plant fibers also take more dye to them. So Oddballs said that she looked up spinning wheel types, and it was similar to a Saxony wheel, but he incorporated a lamp into the construction. Hmm.
That would be neat. I mean,
Yeah, that
better to
would be
see
interesting.
everything.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. And then Jerry said drop spindles is easier than you think. It becomes like crocheting a mindless granny pattern. Meditative. Don't overthink it. Yeah.
Well, that's what I need.
Soda ash too. Soda ash. But Meg, is soda ash for plant fibers as well? Yeah, like I said, I'm still learning a lot. I know how to dye protein fibers, but when it comes to a different type of fiber, it's like,
You're like, "Oh."
well, like I kind of know, but I still got like a lot of research to do.
Well, that's the thing. I think it's just hard to know, and I sometimes get where I just and my nose is, like, super itchy from pulling all that out now. I sometimes get where I get hesitant to start something until I feel like I know all the information, and that's just not ever gonna be possible, so
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
know enough to know I don't have enough supplies to start, so
Yeah, see, what I did when I started actually dyeing the fiber, I just went to Dollar Tree and got um, the cheap um, measuring cups.
That's a good idea.
I use a colander. Got one of those from the Dollar Tree. The salad spinner I actually got from. I don't know if you have Burke's up there or
Mm-mm.
Roses or not Roses Ross.
Yes, yes.
That's where I got my salad spinner at. Um,
I feel like I have one in my cupboard that I've never, ever, ever used
mhm.
on
Well,
salad and probably never will.
yeah, those are great for because when you get done, especially the fiber, yarn's not so bad. You can still risk the chance of felting fiber as well. But fiber is the main thing that you really want to be careful with, because if you agitate it too much, then you can mat it up. It might not turn into felt, but matting it up, that's still a lot of work too. I accidentally did that when I first learned how to process alpaca. I matted up a whole freaking blanket or fleece of alpaca.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, yeah, it's been a pain to work with. So well, I appreciate that, Mama Winch, but I still got a lot to learn.
I about had to help her there. And I have to have my laptop, like, propped up on I've got it sitting on a box, and then I have, those styrofoam, puzzle pieces that you block a project on.
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
all that stacked up for my laptop, and then I got a cup of coffee, and my cat's just like
Here, I'm gonna start typing for you so that there's weird things in the chat.
Yeah.
So if you guys see like just random letters from Shannon in the chat,
Yep.
it's her cat.
I gotta help her.
Yep, it's okay.
Or just,
Now,
like, my panic,
now is your cat a boy or a girl?
He's a boy, yeah.
Boy.
Little dude
Okay.
is his name, yep.
Oh, dude. I know I've seen him in a video a time or two, but I can't ever remember.
Yep.
I've got a screaming Mimi in the background. I think they just seen a snake.
Ooh.
Yeah, we actually last week, I think it was, I went out to go feed our chickens and I about stepped on a corn snake. I kid you not, it scared the living daylights out of me because they almost kind of, yep, they seen a snake. Um, I'm curious of what kind of snake it is now. But yeah, it scared the living daylights out of me because I thought it was a copperhead because it was an orange. It had the coloration of a copperhead, and I mean, oh my gosh, I kid you not, this my skin about jumped off of me and started running because I don't do snakes. I do not do snakes at all.
We don't really have any poisonous ones here, or venomous, I guess would be the word. We have, like, a lot of garter snakes, but
Mm.
I actually in the 8 years we have been here, I've never seen one in my yard area, and I think it's because we have this pasture area in
Mm.
front. I mean, it's, like, about an acre out there, and we don't mow it, it's just brush, and I think that it provides such a good habitat out there that
Mhm.
nothing comes up into my yard.
Well, that's good. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know what it is, but I guess it would be the chickens. But
Mm,
um, the first 2 years, well, so we've been here for 3 years. We didn't actually start seeing snakes up until we seen like maybe two snakes last year, two black snakes, a really small one, and then a little bit bigger, like probably a 3 footer. But this year, I don't know what it is this year, but I
like,
know
sometimes I think it's like the conditions, like, certain, like, heat or certain amount of rain, or if, like, an area flooded and it pushed them out of their habitat, or I don't
that
know.
that could be it because I mean we live in the swamps, and then Hurricane Debbie came through, and we didn't get we didn't get flooded, but I know in some areas it flooded, so that could be it. I don't know, but I mean that was like a month and a half, 2 months ago, so I don't know. But me and my daughter, I think it was back in like May or June, we were about to go get in the pool, and I mean there was a big old black snake
Ugh.
that went. She was running one direction, and the snake was running from her, and I'm like, good thing it's running from her and not towards her, because me and her both be freaking out. I don't. But our neighbor, he said, I don't know if it was recent or if he was talking about in the past, but a few months ago, they said that they found like two rattlesnakes in their ditches.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, I told my husband, I said, if I see a rattlesnake or a copperhead or any kind of um, a venomous snake, I'm just going to let it do its thing because I'm not going to
Yep.
risk the chance of getting bitten. Nope, nope.
See, that's the benefit of living where you can freeze to death is that you don't have to deal with those creatures.
Yeah, yeah. Now my mom, she gets a bunch of copperheads and rattlesnakes, but she's in the mountains of West Virginia.
Mm.
And actually, where she's at in West Virginia, um, I don't know if it is because I don't think they used to, I don't know if they still do, but they used to drop timber rattlesnakes in the county that my mom lives in. And if they caught you shooting one, you would have I think it was a $5,000 fine. Yeah,
Whoa.
I guess it's because they're a protected species or something. I don't know,
Wow.
but yeah, our my uncle, my great uncle that bought the house from, that's what he said is they used to drop. I don't know if they still do, but they used to drop rattlesnakes in the county, and if you get caught shooting one, then you possibly might get a fine. Yeah,
I
I
guess
don't
I
know.
won't be moving there.
Well, I grew up. Well, I didn't grow up there. My mom grew up in the house, so but hoping to inherit whenever things go south with my mom to keep it in the family.
That'd
So
be good.
yeah, because the that property has been in the family since I think the 1940s.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, I'm glad my mom was able to get it when she could. 'Cause
Mhm.
that means a lot to me, and I know that means a lot to mom. So
Yeah.
so Jerry, keep on wanting to say Gary. Jerry says he keeps a pitchfork on the side of the house outside of Santa Fe. If one was dead in the road, it didn't last long. Folks would make belts. Yep. Jeez.
Well, I mean, I guess that is a thing. I've always heard of, like, snakeskin
Mhm.
purses or belts or
Mhm. I had a friend that he would purposely try to find rattlesnakes just for that purpose.
hmm.
I'm like, dude, you're crazy. You're crazy. 'Cause you won't catch me doing that. Mm-mm. You'll catch me running the other direction because nope. They're pretty and all. I like learning about snakes and reptiles, but when it comes to snakes, I will not touch one. I'll touch a lizard, but I will not touch a snake. I will not.
So I will have to agree with oddballs here about the garter snakes eating the mice. Yes.
Hmm.
I'm not scared of mice, but they are much more problematic on our property.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
they, like a garter snake isn't going to come into my house, but mice will.
yeah. Well, you never know. You might catch a snake in your house. That's
Maybe.
my husband. He said when he grew up, there was a trailer that they lived in. I don't know why it was such an issue, but they had water moccasins that would get into the house or cottonmouths, whichever you want to call them. But they would always be, for whatever reason, I guess cottonmouths or snakes or whatever, like the scent of tea bags.
Hmm.
So every time they would go to get a tea bag, there would most
Yeah,
times than not be a snake wrapped around the tea bag or whatever they had their tea
that's
in.
awful.
Yeah, no thanks.
So I guess where my mind kind of went from there is because, I'm just like bouncing off the walls. I just finished off a huge cup of coffee, but sometimes, like, down in different videos, like, I'll do or whatever, and especially if it's, like, a thrifted yarn haul, I'll have people, sometimes be like, "Oh my gosh, I would never do that because of infestations." And I don't know if it's just, like, the climate I live in, I have never had any, like, infestations of any kind in my yard. Like, I don't know if we just don't have, like, it's not warm enough or not humid enough for the type of bugs that would infest
Well,
yarn, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either, but
Like,
it
is that
might be
more of a southern thing? I don't
it,
know.
it might be because what I've always known is in colder climates or the saying, I guess, down here is you want a cold winter to kill off the
Yeah.
bugs.
Yep.
So that could be the reason why you might not have an infestation or issues because you guys get cold winters versus down here we barely even get winters. So that could be.
Mhm.
But as far as like my yarn collection, I've never had anything
Mm-mm.
infestation or nothing. So
Lana, I'm in Iowa.
so
So I mean it gets warm in the summer and humid, but it's not, I mean, it's just not that way, I don't think, for long enough periods of time.
mhm.
So, yeah, but it's just I'm always a little bit puzzled, and I definitely understand erring on the side of caution and not bringing something into your house to spread to other stuff.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's just I've never remotely had any type of issues like that. And I mean, even really same way like with my food pantry, like I don't really ever have any type of bug issues there
Mhm.
either. So I mean, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, because once you get an infestation, especially depending on what kind of infestation, uh, it can be
Bad, yeah.
bad. Yeah. So,
Do you
Elena,
mind saying what state you're in, oddballs, or are you in Canada? Sorry if you guys hear my dog.
barking at nothing, probably.
Oh, he's been wound up. He has terrible separation anxiety from my husband, and then,
Mm.
like I said, with all the running around my husband's had to do this week, my dog's just been on high alert. So I'm assuming possibly my husband pulled in, and
Oh,
that's why my dog is going nuts. Whoa!
possibly.
It's like a rock star showed up,
Yeah,
in my
yeah,
dog's eyes.
yeah. That's, my husband ended up. I was already awake. My daughter was already awake, and I had already gotten all the animals fed. And my husband, I didn't even hear him get out of bed, walk down the hallway, nothing. And I mean, he scared the living daylights out of all of us. And my dog, or our dog, jumped up and was like, "Oh, hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad." Started wiggling his butt. And I'm like, lay back down. Lay back down.
Calm down.
Yeah, lay back down. It's okay. He'll get to you when he gets to you, but lay down.
Okay, so yeah, I'm thinking then, yeah, because I bet you're probably a smidge colder than me, but then I'm assuming maybe your winter is also just, oh, sorry, I apologize, talking to oddballs.
You're good.
I'm assuming then too, your winter maybe just like a little bit, start a little bit sooner and end a little bit later too, is what I'm thinking. So nothing else exciting happening this weekend for you?
No, just yard work.
Oh, yeah.
So exciting, yard work. I gotta get in. I gotta get in the coop and clean out the coop and
Mm.
um, yard work.
Our egg prices around here went up to like $4 a carton again, and I feel like my husband is getting closer and closer to figuring out how we're going to solve that problem.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen too. I don't know about in your state, but I know the recalls on
Mm.
foods is getting ridiculous. And I know a few weeks ago there was a recall on eggs because of salmonella. Like
Oh,
I told my husband, I said, if things start to get worse with the recalls, we're just gonna have to do a full year-round garden,
mm.
and I mean, live up, pretty much live off the land because it's getting ridiculous. It's getting absolutely ridiculous. It seems like every week, if not every other week, there's a recall on something.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, like where I am from is like where the majority of the country's eggs are produced.
Mm. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh my gosh, Jerry's saying possible snow this weekend. Oh, I am sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know where he's at, but isn't that kind of early for snow?
It would be early for us here in Iowa, but if you're a little bit north and maybe a little bit further west, I can see that happening. So, Colorado, okay, mountains, yep.
Yeah.
Marquita, yep, I'll have the live, it'll pop up. I don't totally get how this works with YouTube, like, I schedule the live and then, we're on it, and
Hmm.
then it somehow, like, goes through a processing phase, and then I feel like sometimes, like, 10 hours later, it shows up, like, magically on my channel. I don't totally get it. Like, it would show up on the subscription page, but if you go on my channel, because this month it's on mine, um, it, uh it will be like, if you go over under the columns, it should show up where it says live, so it's like videos, shorts, lives, it should be under there.
Yeah, I don't know. I know like if you're wanting to look at like the chat or anything, it takes 24 hours for that to pop up.
Okay.
Yeah. But as far
Okay.
as I think pretty much as soon as the live is over, they can watch the replay
Okay.
from there. So Mama Winch said once the live is done, then it basically converts to like a recorded video, but under the lives tab. So
Okay. Yeah, so there should be actually, like I said, I got to hang out with Sydney twice this week. So on Monday morning, we went live and show and tell Meg. I'm not sure if Meg's still on here or not. She was able to pop in earlier. I know sometimes she's like sneaking in when she's at work. So I probably shouldn't say, not that anyone at her work would even know who I am, that, but
you never know.
um, anyway, she was on and we did like a Q&A type question situation. I had a blast. I
Hmm.
thought it was great. I feel like between Megan and Sydney, we covered like a whole bunch of bases, like knowledge base wise. So yeah, check that out. If you, it should be on my in the lives section there. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try to convince them to join me and do that again in like a month or two.
I
So
don't mind. I don't mind. I feel like I learn a lot from Meg too because I know that she crocheted and did sewing and
mhm.
she does knitting too, but I didn't know like she knew as much as she did about spinning. And so I
Yeah,
mean, you seen it. She was on the ball of exactly. She knew
I
what I was
know,
talking about. So it's like,
I know.
it's it's awesome because like Katie's been yarnified. I don't know if you've heard of her,
Yes, yep.
but which I think she was in our chat last time, she's only been spinning for 6 months and I've learned things from her. So it's just cool, being able to learn from everybody and everybody's on a different path as far as our journey.
Mhm.
So you learn from everybody,
Yeah.
whether it's something small or something big.
So, MDL Crochet, I just saw your channel the other day. I hadn't seen it before, and it popped up in my suggested, so hello.
He
I've
does.
been looking for those supernova yarns ever since and haven't found them. It's been frustrating me.
So his name is Michael, and he does a lot of Tunisian. I think his
Okay.
his channel is specifically based on Tunisian crocheting. So
And that is one thing I used to say I would never do, like, spinning or dyeing, so maybe I should just be quiet, but I'm not gonna Tunisian crochet.
it's really not as hard as it seems. It's really not. And as long as you, like somebody else said, a lot of people reference it as a mix between crocheting
Yeah.
and knitting, and I would honestly kind of agree with that. But it's more on the side of crocheting, obviously Tunisian crocheting, but it's either for you or it's not for you. But I
Yeah.
like it. I don't necessarily like designing things in Tunisian, but I do like learning different stitches. So give it a try if you like it, or if
Yeah,
you want to
exactly.
try.
Well, I've got hooks on hand just in case.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't get a bamboo. Don't get bamboo
Okay,
hooks. Don't get bamboo hooks
I won't.
ever. Well, you can get them if you want them, but I don't recommend bamboo hooks. So Oddball says that they're faster with Tunisian than regular crocheting. Hmm.
Hmm,
I feel like, in a way, I feel like Tunisian is faster, but I also feel like Tunisian's a little bit more fiddly to me. just because you are having stitches. It's like knitting. You do have stitches on your hook, but then also trying to make a crochet stitch, I just feel like it's a little fiddly.
Like, this probably sounds dumb, but I'm just not great at counting. Like, I it's an attention span thing. And so I'm like, I can count to about 20, and then I'm like 38, 42, 15, and I'm off, like, thinking about a show I watched or something I said that was dumb, and I forget to keep counting after the number 20, and I feel
Mhm.
like maybe there's more counting in Tunisian, and so that I think is what is keeping me like, having to, like, know how many hooks you or how many loops you got on that hook.
I don't, well, in crocheting, pretty much crocheting, knitting, and Tunisian, I barely count at all. I know that's like, oh my gosh, you don't count, but I really don't. I think I've just gotten to, I've done it for so long, but not so long, but I kind of know
It's more
exactly
like
where to go.
second nature.
Yeah, so unless I'm writing a pattern and I need to actually know the stitch count and put it in there, that's the only time that I count, but I do not count. I barely count. So,
Yeah, I have to do everything in, like, 10 or 20 increments.
yeah.
So, yeah, I have to do the stitch markers a lot too. I just read that. I'm not sure who said stitch markers, but I saw it pop up. Lana, yes.
Now,
Just
Michael
like
said
20, click, 20, click.
I barely use stitch markers either. I barely use stitch markers unless I'm actually separating and need, like, if
Yep.
I'm doing stitches on this side, and then I'm doing a different stitch in the middle, then I will separate it. But I barely use stitch markers. It's just, I'm not,
The one time I think I should and I don't is, like, when I'm crocheting in the round and I think,
yeah.
"Oh, I'll know where the starting point is."
Now, when knitting in the round, then yes, that is definitely when the one time that I definitely will use a stitch marker, because you in crocheting sometimes you do have that chain three or chain or
Mhm.
whatever, depending on how you do it, to kind of guide you, but in knitting you don't. So you've got to know exactly where your starting and ending point is, or else you're going to be on like stitch number 59, but it's in row 2 or something.
I'm gonna grab a hat, I gotta show it's a fail.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I loved the look of this hat, and this is the prime example of crocheting, and I probably should have used a stitch marker because I started adding extra stitches, but look how wide this hat's getting. Like, I'm like, "This is ridiculous," and, the hat was super cool, it was like a fiber spider,
Mhm.
um, tutorial, and it's this cool basket weave, but I'm like, "This is getting absolutely ginormous." There's no way, like, somehow I think I added extra stitches and then have, like, whole extra basket pattern at
Mhm.
some point, and I most definitely should have used a stitch marker
Stitch
and not
marker.
just assumed I would know exactly where it was.
I do like the crowning of that hat. That's
Yeah,
pretty.
I can't remember what he called it, but it was like, if you look on his channel, it was like just like a basket weave hat or something, but yeah, I've clearly messed that up, thinking I knew where my starting point was.
You can always just turn it into a slouchy if you wanted to.
It would be very
I
slouchy.
mean, if you wanted to. So Michael also does not really use stitch markers either, unless he's making a pattern or count. There we go. Oddball says, I think Tunisian feels faster too because you use much bigger hooks. Which, that's another thing, when you do Tunisian, you do need to go a few sizes in hook, because the tension and the stitches are a little bit tighter. And Michael, like I said, his channel is strictly based on Tunisian. So I think he said earlier he had like 400, or was working on 400 stitch tutorials.
Oh, cool.
He said, yeah, pure Tunisian crochet. I have over 400 stitches in his library, and want to teach them all. I just love Tunisian crocheting. So if you want to know Tunisian crocheting,
Go there.
yep, go follow Michael. But yeah, I'm really liking this needle
That
tatting.
is beautiful.
I'm really liking it, and um, it's kind of similar to casting on because what you use is it's called a double stitch, and you use it's almost similar to casting on with knitting, but I'm really liking it, and eventually I want to get to making a doily and needle tapping. It might take a
You
little bit, but
you have a tutorial on your channel, and I have it in my watch later, and it's for some earrings that are
mhm,
crocheted.
mhm.
But I haven't, like, my ears have closed like a good couple decades ago. So I want to take that and make like it into a pendant.
There you go.
Because I do wear like long necklaces and I like that. So that's my plan for that. Because yeah,
Right.
I've given up. I've had my ears pierced several times and I just can't keep them. Um, so yeah,
Is it the Lotus one or is it the Starburst one?
it is the Lotus one, I
Which one?
believe. Hmm.
Yeah, I liked that one. See, I originally was trying to, when I did those tutorials, I was originally trying needle tatting, but I
Okay.
couldn't get it down. But I really wanted to make earrings, so that's how those
You're
two
like,
went.
next best thing.
Yeah, crochet. I'll just crochet some earrings.
Did you, because it's in my watch later and I haven't actually watched it because I need to like go buy a chain. Did you end up like having to starch that or was it just like a firm enough shape?
For me, it was a
Okay.
firm enough shape. Let's get it out there. But I mean, you can starch it if you want to, of course, if you want it to be a little bit more firmer. So yeah,
That's something else I've never done is starch something.
starch.
So,
There's a few different ways that you can do it. A lot of people say that all you need is to block it and put some water on it. But what I do is I'll boil up some water and take cornstarch and actually make a starch. Or I think they even sell some at Walmart.
okay.
Um, the one that I do have, I think you actually got to flat iron it, but
Oh, okay.
I don't ever flat iron it. It works out for me. Which is some of this stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it says that you're supposed to flat iron it, but again, I don't. I just let it air dry. But it also, I guess, depends on how starched you want it.
You want it, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like for a pendant, I'm gonna probably try to stiffen it up a little bit just
Hmm.
because it'll get like extra wear and tear and
Yeah. Yeah. And you can always, if you need to, always restarch it too. So
very true.
just don't wash it. Just don't wash it.
I won't.
I I accidentally made that mistake. Those earrings, the poop earrings that
Mhm. Yes.
my mother-in-law, she made another earring that had daisies on it, and
Mhm.
I didn't know any better, but somehow um, they were either in my pants pocket or got thrown in the laundry. And I told her, I said, these are looking a little funny. Can you look at them? Blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, you washed them after I starched them. I'm like, sorry. So she ended up having to restarch them. So Oddball said she is learning how she or he is learning to knit. I just finished my first project, which is a pullover sweater from a Karen anniversary cake. Awesome.
I am
That's
always
awesome.
so attracted to like I see the pictures of everybody posting their anniversary cakes, but I just live far enough from a Michael's and like the two times I've been in one, they didn't have any. And I'm not gutsy enough to order one online. But I have to admit, like when I uh like when I get a like a giant ball of yarn, I'm so like, "Ugh," like I want one. Like just the quantity of it, I'm like, oh, I gotta get that. It's so
Have
dumb, but
have
just like
they?
giant balls of yarn.
You like giant balls, don't you?
Yes. I just but it's like $40, I think.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's why I'm like, not ordering it online.
yeah. Have they changed the weight of the anniversary cakes now? Because I think they have new ones. Or do
Oh,
you know?
I that would be a good question.
Because I know when I was on Garden State Gardener's channel a lot and he was doing his giveaways, I won one of the
Mm,
anniversary cakes, but it's a weight number 5, I believe.
okay.
It's really, really heavy too, and I didn't care for it. So I mean, there are 1,000 yards in, I guess, a 5 weight, but I didn't care for them
Mhm.
just because how heavy they were and the thickness of them too. But I don't know if they've changed the weight of those anniversary cakes or not.
I think they're still pretty thick.
Are they?
I mean, I don't know, but I think so.
Well, maybe Michael or somebody else can answer that.
Mhm. Yeah, so my issue is that I live like the closest Joann's is about like 45 minutes from me. So unfortunately, like if like I don't time things right when a product I'm just with Michael saying, yeah, they're only in stores, the supernova cakes.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's like I feel like sometimes I miss out on stuff if I'm not in a town with the store at just the right time, but
Right,
that's
right.
okay.
I've seen where Mary from Slow Crochets,
Mhm.
she said that Hobby Lobby's having another, unless it's her Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, so I
Um,
think it's the annual die lot
lot.
sale. So with that, I have gotten good stuff and that usually is like in September, so they will get rid of the oddballs, the
You're
oddball
famous.
die lot. So like if there's only say they might only have like 2 or 4 or something of one certain die lot left, they will put that at my store anyway in like a separate area, like their clearance area or on like one of those displays in the center aisle. And they'll just put all of the ones where there's not enough of a die lot. Like they're getting new ones in for the year.
Yes.
So the good thing is like if you're looking for small amounts of yarn, like if you do a lot of one skein projects or, you like I take a lot of my oddball one. I can't stop saying oddball now.
Like I said,
And
you're famous.
and start doing like I do like newborn caps and I can get
Mhm.
like, 2 or 3 little newborn caps out of like one skein. Um And so it's small amounts, but they're very cheap. It's like their annual sale markdown. So, you
Mhm.
can get stuff for like $1.24.
Yeah.
But I feel like oftentimes, because I've seen this on Mary's channel too, was that their dye lots can be really far off. Like she's showed a couple where one basically looked pink and one looked white, and it was supposed to be like a light pink color. So it's not great sale for you to be like stocking up on anything because if you try to buy it again, it's not going to match. But for things like I've gotten a lot of little skeins of cotton, stuff
Mhm.
like that, where I'm like, if it's going to be a dishcloth, who cares?
Right.
If the dye lot's different, things like that. I have gotten some good deals there.
See.
Elizabeth, I don't use a pattern per se. I do the exact same um like beanie pattern that I make for myself. It's just I only do like I've got one that's almost done here. I think I just need to finish it up. Except I just do like about 18 or 20 in my chain, and then the top 3 are what I do my single crochets in to, cinch up here. And I just kind of base it on however many I want it to be. Because with at our hospital, it's rural, and so they have like 500 babies born there every year, and it's just babies' heads are all sizes, so they don't care if they're varying, like, it helps them actually if they're slightly different sizes,
Mhm.
because some babies have giant heads, some are tiny little babies, so for me, I don't sweat it, I just kinda go with it. I think normally on one of my newborn things here, I mean, this is, maybe like 4 or 5 inches across when it's laying flat, and then, like I said, that will be cinched up, and I kinda figure if they want to brim it, they can, or if they don't, they don't. Like, I don't sweat it that much. I haven't had any complaints yet.
Those little baby hats are so cute. So cute.
Yeah, I don't have a separate video for it, but yeah, it's like if you look at, I've got a video that's called like my 3 go-to beanie patterns. The one that's like mine is the same way. You just alter it, make it smaller.
Yeah, I love them little baby beanie.
Mhm.
So cute.
They are.
It almost gives you baby fever in a way. Well, maybe not you, but
Yeah. Well, I could have grandbaby fever, but
yeah. Which you don't have any grandbabies, do you?
I do not. No. Um my daughter and her boyfriend are in their mid-20s, so, like, I mean, I certainly would not be opposed to it, but neither one of them are,
Ready.
like yeah, so um her boyfriend, like, they've been together, like, 5 years, and he is just about to finish up school. He had gone to school for one thing and then
Change his mind.
decided to go for something else. And then my daughter works for a medical staffing corporation. She's in marketing. Um, and it's something where that particular type of business was absolutely booming during COVID, and they were buying all these other companies. They deal with like traveling nurses and
Mhm.
brokering deals between like hospitals that need nurses and traveling nurses, and traveling nurses were making an astonishing amount of money during that COVID time, like
Oh,
$4,000, $10,000 a week, like things were insane. And oh my gosh. Oh, that's your house, not mine. I was like, who's in my hallway? Hi, Sid's husband.
Hi.
I was like, oh my God. Because I was looking at you when I was talking to you.
I was like, why are you freaking out?
Because for some reason in my mind, I thought it was like he was coming up behind me.
You thought it was possibly your husband. That's funny.
Well, I
He,
was like, who is in my house? Nobody should be here.
he teleported to your house. Give my husband back.
But yeah, so my daughter is like they're seeing in her um Michael says he made bank during COVID. Yep.
Think
So the
I lost
issue is that like in her industry, things are tanking now that there's
Mhm.
not the same deal with COVID. And they're like every week her company is having layoffs and it's just like not stable. So she just started going back to school and she's going for something totally different. She's going for accounting. So I feel like she's going to be in school for a couple years. So that was a really, really long roundabout way
Mm.
of saying that I'm not going to have any grandbabies for a while.
Well, it didn't help that my husband came in here and
I
scared
did.
me.
Because it's like I was looking at you and then I was like in my mind, I was like, somebody's behind me.
Oh my gosh.
And then I
Oh
was like
goodness.
almost confused when nobody was back there.
Yeah, because you look back like, what the heck?
I know.
Why is she? I seen him, but I was like, why the heck is she?
I
Why
might
is
try
she
to
like
go
right now?
in and, like, snip that clip out and make it into a short.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be funny.
Yeah, apparently I don't know how screens or mirrors or stuff like that, reflections work.
Oh man. Oh, leave it to him. He actually used to work at a. He loves scaring people. That's like his big old thing is he loves scaring people.
Well, tell him
He,
good job. Job
yeah,
well done.
he actually used to work at a haunted mansion where we
Okay.
lived in West Virginia, and I didn't know it, but um, me and him actually crossed paths a few times before we actually met each other,
Oh,
and the
neat.
haunted house was actually one. But have you ever heard of Lake Shawnee?
I have not.
No, Lake Shawnee, West Virginia. Well, that's where we're from, is that area. But it's a haunted lake that used to be at one point a amusement park, and it also used to be Indian burial grounds too. And like I can't he could probably actually tell the story a little bit better, but I think there was a man or a family or something that got slaughtered on that property. There's just a lot of um, history and just guts and gore that deals with
Hmm.
that place. But yeah, he told me one time that him and somebody else was it was after hours after the haunted house closed, and they were just standing there talking, and he's seeing a shadow or ghost in the corner of his eye, but he didn't say anything. And then the same guy saw what he saw, and he's like, "Yep, it's time to get out of here. Time to get out of here."
Yeah, I know a few people who around here who will like travel to go to like allegedly haunted places,
Mhm.
but I I don't know. I don't feel like we have a lot of like lore regarding anything haunted around here.
Yeah, I think Lake Shawnee is like in the top 10 haunted places in America.
Okay.
I think so. Just because there's so much history and a lot of bad things have happened there.
I'm thinking about it now, and maybe Lisbeth knows, but is there like a house? It's obviously it's not like Lizzie Borden, but isn't there like one house in Iowa maybe where there was like some sort of thing like back in the 1800s? I don't know. I might be losing my mind there.
There, when we lived in California, and I know somebody was in the chat that's from California, but there was a place that I wanted to go to. It's called like the San Jose. Oh, I can't remember what it is, but I think it was in Jose. But the way that they built the house, because it was so haunted, they like put like traps for the ghost. Yeah, because there was a lot of things that happened in that house, and I wanted to go to it so bad when I was young, but we never got to do it before we left. Jerry says, Halloween story time with Shannon and Sid. I can tell you so many things that I have personally witnessed with, and we might save that for next
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 time.
live, since it will be closer to Halloween. It's
Ooh, you're
definitely
right. Maybe we should, and why don't we also, since it will be October, yeah, let's just like any of like Halloweeny type crochet projects, let's have those on hand. Okay, thank you, Elizabeth. I was like getting my phone out to to look up what that murder house was. So yes, if you're interested in like Iowa's one thing, but I there might also be like a mental hospital that's questionable, but I think that's like kind of standard in every state. Like,
yeah.
oh, you got a 200-year-old mental hospital? It's probably haunted.
Yeah, I know in West Virginia. I don't know about here because I haven't done a lot of like haunted house research down here or whatever. But I know in West Virginia, I can't remember the name of it. But there is a haunted asylum that you can actually go in.
Mm.
They can tour you around it. You can also spend the night there if you want to. Yeah, there's my husband's like, yeah, I want to go do that. And I'm like,
You're like, okay.
no, no. But um, he wants to go. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but the Devil's Stomping Grounds.
Mm-mm.
It's somewhere in either South Carolina or North Carolina. And it's like kind of in the middle of the woods, but there's an area that has no vegetation growing in it. And it's almost kind of like in a ring. And
Okay.
says that if you stay the night there, then you and all of your stuff will be moved like a mile, 4 miles when you wake
Oh,
up.
weird.
Yeah. I'm like, now you're getting into like demonic stuff. I'm good.
Oh,
No,
see,
I
to
don't
me,
do
that
that.
seemed like more like X-Files, Aliens type of
Yeah. I'm like, you know, you when you start talking about demonic stuff, uh-uh. It's like
you're
to me,
out.
I'm gone. It's like people and saying that they play with an Ouija board. I get it if you know how to close them, but things can attach to you. Things can attach to you. Mm-mm. Nope. I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good
yeah.
over here. I
Yeah,
try
I just think, Elizabeth, we don't have that much exciting but if you think about it, like, Iowa I feel like on the East Coast, it was settled first,
yeah.
like, back in, a longer time ago, and there's just more stuff that would have happened. Like, I almost feel like here, like, out in the plains, I feel like you got a greater chance of, like, finding, like or, like, building your house on, like, an ancient, Native American burial site or something. I don't wanna mess with that either. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
you got a greater chance of messing up that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Michael said, I'm good without seeing any of that stuff. I sleep better without knowing. Yeah. Yeah. Which I want to tell you guys so bad, just some things that I've like encountered, but I'm gonna save that until next live because I can get into it. I love learning about like the haunted mansions and stuff like that, but when it comes to demonic stuff,
Yeah,
no.
so I'm excited. Let's do, like, the next one. Let's have a whole Halloween thing. I'll grab any of my, like, Halloween projects, and maybe what I'll do too is because the next live will be on your channel.
Mhm.
So, it'll we if you are new to Sydney and I's lives, we alternate back and forth, on each of our channels. So, next month will be on hers, and, so maybe I will just email you, like, a list of any, like, patterns or anything like that, and
Mhm.
then you can put that in the description or whatever so that if anybody wants, like, links to anything we talk about,
Yeah.
same way, like, obviously with you, put your own,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll scrounge up all of my, projects. Yeah, that'll be
Okay.
fun.
Yeah, I don't really decorate or do any Halloween projects, so that might be on you. But I was already thinking about doing like a Q&A as well and kind of being interactive with the chat and just hearing, obviously if they have any encounters with
Yeah.
ghosts and, you know,
Yes.
I think that would be awesome. Uh,
Mhm.
So
Oh, yeah. The Mental Health Institute in Mount Pleasant. Yeah, that would be freaky. That totally would.
that's there was somebody was talking to me, or I might have even actually seen it in a video, but where Gettysburg's address took place,
Mhm.
the battle and all, they said that if you still go to the battlegrounds, you can hear soldiers cry and gunshots and stuff.
I have heard that. I
Uh,
have heard that.
I get kind of like emotional when it comes to this kind of stuff, but it's because of out of excitement.
So Michael's saying he's been subscribed for a while, but this is the first time he's been able to catch a live. I get it, like, you do have to spend a lot of time if you're wanting to do your channel, especially if you're wanting to do it full time or, part-time, like, it does take a lot of time, and
Hmm.
that is one thing where I try to watch a lot of people's videos, but then it's like, if I have a bigger project going on or if I have, like, multiple projects going on, it does get hard to, interact or, like, I was so excited that, Sweet Moments by Jessie posted a video because she's
Hmm.
in the middle of a big life change, and I got to watch the video. I was like, "Oh, I'm sitting down to watch this," and then I didn't even comment on it. Like, I left without commenting, and I was like, "Dang it."
Yep.
But yeah, it's like sometimes you are so busy, it is hard to interact, so,
Yeah,
um
we all have a life outside of YouTube, and
yep.
we all got our own thing. As long as you can, occasionally pop and say hey,
Yeah.
or
Or
just
even,
best that you can.
yep, just
So
drop an emoji ever or
yeah,
anything like that.
um,
Lana's
I'm
asking about glow in the dark yarn, probably because of our Halloween projects. I have never worked with glow in the dark yarn.
me neither.
I
Um,
think that Alt Knots has quite a few reviews on glow in the dark yarn because she's Halloweeny all year round. um, so that might be a good place to look. I know some of them, I feel like she said glow better than others. The thing that stopped me is it seems like kind of a high price tag for a teeny tiny amount of yarn, and I am cheap. So,
yeah, yeah. It's I have. I really want to work with it, but I have some of the Jacquard's acid dyes that's actually black light.
oh, that's cool.
You can buy the glow in the dark acid dyes. I had a brain fog there, but I think yeah, I've never worked with those, and I think they would be really cool, especially during Halloween. But like you
Hmm.
said, they're for the price of them, is expensive for that
Yeah.
little tiny. When all it is dye. It's not they're doing anything special with it. It's just the
Hmm.
dye, I guess.
Lana, I have, instead of glow in the dark yarn, I have gotten from Lion Brand Basic Stitch, but they have a reflective yarn in Basic Stitch. And they have a bunch of different colors. Like I got a turquoise, I got gray, I got black. And I will say, like, the reflection, like the reflective fibers in it do reflect a lot. So it's not the same look, but it's definitely something where if you're in the dark, it does kind of have a glowing effect to it if you're in the, if light reflects off of it. Like maybe look into that as well if it's something I don't know, different but maybe similar effect. Um, okay, so Oddballs is saying her kids are telling her to start a channel but don't want it to take over her life, which it would quickly. Yeah, I mean, the thing that I will say is that it I feel like there's a couple different reasons you could start a channel. And one of them is like if you are wanting to network with other crocheters and do a lot of that, that's kind of like to build that community. I feel like you can get by posting less. But if you are wanting to grow a channel, I feel like there is a certain time commitment you do have to put into it. For me, I mean, it kind of is a part-time job. Like I work full-time and it is like I probably spend 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours a week doing different things for my channel. So, but I mean, I'm also like I'm trying to do a newsletter, I'm trying to do a few other things
Yeah.
as well. So there is that. But yeah, you do kind of have to decide if you want to devote that time into it because I think that unfortunately, like if you're just like, oh, maybe I'll post, it's gonna be hard to get in front of people's eyes, if that
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean the best thing that you can, if you want to start one, for me and how I see it is the best thing is to put boundaries within yourself and maybe your viewers too. But what helps me out a lot is having a schedule, planning my, which I'll actually have a video coming out next month of how I plan my videos. But I stick to a pretty much strict schedule as far as recording so that I'm not having to record all the time and it's over consuming. But I also, for the most part, I do kind of go off track a little bit. But as far as like watching channels, for the most part, I do have like scheduled days of when I do try to catch up or watch channels as well. So
Okay, so I grabbed that Basic Stitch reflective here, and like during this is a bright room, so obviously you're not going to be able to see it reflecting. So these are the ones that I have. I've got this gray, this black. On the black, you can see the reflective fibers a lot better.
Mhm.
And like I said, it's like that more like reflecting white type of
Yeah.
when it's dark out is how I would describe it. Um, and then here is this turquoise one here. And again, it's harder to see the reflective fibers in the day. But yeah, it's just basic stitch reflective. Here is what the label looks like. See, I have a hard time getting the camera angle right on here. Well, I
It
can't
doesn't
tell if
help that
someone's in the room with me or not.
it doesn't help that it's like backwards too.
I know. So yeah, the one thing I will say about these is that they are only 2.5 ounces of yarn. It is 115 yards, so it's not a great value, but it is still less expensive than the glow in the dark. But yeah, I feel like they have it pretty regularly on the Lion Brand website. So
So Michael said that exactly, Shannon, I'm one of the few lucky ones who don't work because I am a disabled veteran and I have the time to devote it. And my husband is so very supportive of my venture. He does Tunisian too. That is awesome. And thank you for your service, Michael.
And that is actually a very good point too, is I think that if you are in a relationship, it does help if your significant other is on board and understands that it is something that is going to take time,
Yeah.
and that you can put a lot of time into it and not have it make any money for quite a while. So that is something that, yeah, your significant other does really need to understand so that they can support you.
And it's even better when they feed into it too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. My husband will not be. He has no desire to be in a video at all. So, um, but that's the thing. He's fine. Like if he knows, like I'm going to be filming or I'm going live or I'm going to be editing for a couple hours. He's just like, yeah, do your thing.
Right, right. My husband, he has no other choice. I kick him out of the house.
Get out. Go on.
Yeah,
Get.
yeah. Which, speaking of which, I just got a notification where I shared on, either liked it or actually shared it, where we're going live today on you, or not on YouTube. Of course, I shared it on YouTube, but on Facebook. So
Nice.
I
Nice.
think he's listening to us. Robert.
Ooh, that
So
would be I would, oh my gosh, I would love, like, I don't know if I would want an actual, like, brick and mortar yarn store for people to come and shop at because I'm not able to quit my job, so I wouldn't get to be the person working at the yarn store. Like, I'd have to have someone else there, but I would love to, like, have, kinda like how, it's not Knit Picks, give me a second, Little Knits.
mhm.
Like, I'm like, "How do I get me some of that discontinued yarn and resell that?" Like, that's what I how can I resell that on the internet? Like, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, I would love to eventually at some point have my own local yarn store.
Mhm.
And I would love to be able to teach classes there and all as
Yeah.
well, especially spinning. But whether it happens, it happens, and if not, then it is what it is.
Yeah. There is so much time. I am 48 and I was talking with a woman yesterday and she was like, because she had said something. I said, well, I'm 48. And she's like, you're just a baby. 48 is just a baby. And I mean, she's almost 80, so that is definitely her perspective. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I am still young. There is a lot of time to do stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, you're never too old
Mm-mm.
to learn something or start something new. It's
No,
all
and
in the mindset.
when you think about it, like, honestly, like, the last 25 years, like, sometimes I feel like I don't get a lot done, but then I like, this morning, I was, like, thinking back, and I was like, "You know what? I've actually done a lot of things in 25 years, like, that actually like, there's a lot of stuff shoved in there." So
Yeah, you don't think about it until you really start reflecting on everything.
Mhm. So,
So
Michael, are you thinking like because I totally get that. Like I think it would be cool. I don't necessarily want a specific type of yarn, but I would like to curate like a small collection of Shannon Talks yarn. So like that like is that something where you think like you would want to dye your own and sell it or like purchase it from a supplier like Ice Yarn and private label it? Or have you gotten that far? Sorry, I
I
get
think
super excited about nerdy things like that.
I think he's talking more on the lines of actually having like a private label.
Okay,
I
yeah.
think what he's more leaning towards, or having
I
like a
had,
line.
yeah, so I know, like, ice yarns, you can do, like, that type of stuff, but, I had also watched a live, and it was Little John's yarn and a woman I can't think of her name right now. I can't think of what it is, but she's a Canadian lady, um but there was a place she had recommended for private labeling and it was called I think it was called like knitco.ca, like for Canada, I think is what it
Mhm.
was. And they were a place and I get their emails now all the time because I went there and signed up for emails. But yeah, I think it's called Knitco Canada. But that was also like where she recommended a place for buying private label yarn. No
That's
time to dye yarn. Yep, gotcha.
didn't Crystal from Bag O Day have her own private line with the Paul Ply guys?
Oh,
They
I
have
don't
one,
know, maybe.
and I just seen a video from them, but I didn't. It was something like changes coming or something, but I didn't watch it.
Okay. Well, and you know what? That's a thing too, where if you have some sort of connection, someone you've met, be it someone you have made a connection through online or someone in your local area that dyes yarn, that might be if you feel like, the people watching your videos are looking for more of, it kind of depends what they're looking for. Like if you're like, a lot of my videos are acrylic yarn, that's something where I think, yeah, find a supplier where they're, mass marketing that. But if you
Mhm.
feel like your demographic of viewers goes for, um, animal fibers, hand dyed, yeah, I would reach out and try to find someone who dyes that type of yarn and, just try to make a connection with them.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that would be cool to have your own private label
Hmm.
yarn, especially in stores and the mass stores. That would be awesome.
That would.
It's like I got my own knit yarn, my own private label yarn.
Every
But
picture you would see of me, I would be there like this with my yarn.
um, so Lana said, I just turned 60 and I've only started crocheting a few months ago. I'm a newbie. Well, there you go.
Awesome.
Sure. You never too
Hmm.
old to learn something.
No, awesome. You're still a baby. Still a baby.
Still a baby.
Yep.
Life is just funny though, because I'm pretty sure you might have seen it, but not everybody, but you come into life wearing diapers, and then for some people, you leave wearing diapers.
Yep.
Life is just funny. Like,
Well, and I have also found that any time in life where I feel like I like have things figured out and have a plan, that is not how things work out remotely. So,
let's throw you a curveball there. Yep.
yep.
And it's not like it's here and there and here and there. It's all at once.
Yep.
And
Oh,
then
for sure.
you go good and then it's all at once. Like seriously,
Yep.
seriously. Yeah.
I would have to agree with that. Sydney's got her moonshine. I've got my
Yep.
seltzer water. It's not moonshine if you're new
Yeah.
here.
I was
It's
gonna say
it's
it's
just
not.
water.
You never know. No, I'm just kidding.
So I had to cut back. So I was like, I hate to say it, but I was drinking like 3 seltzer waters a day, like 2 to 3, because I like the flavor, but I don't like sugar, and, I like the bubbles. The bubbles are the best part of it, but I was getting terrible acid reflux. Like,
Uh,
it was just
yeah.
like, and I'm like, so I haven't drank seltzer water in a couple weeks, and I have been feeling so much better. So I'm a little annoyed with myself that I brought this one up here, but I was like, oh, I'll take a water. I'll be thirsty. And
I don't see how you drink them things.
yeah, I know. My
Sorry, I
family
don't.
hates them too.
Ugh. Now, is it flavor at least? Did you say it
Oh
was
yeah, this
flavored?
one is like lemon lime.
Ew.
Uh,
So like a Sprite? Is that what it kind of tastes like?
no, because
No.
it's not sweet at all. It's
No.
like
Ew.
if you just took water and squirted lemon lime in there.
Ew.
I feel like seltzer, like, people either love it or hate it. There's no in between.
No. I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. I'd rather have just plain Jane water. Plain Jane water.
So Michael says, thank you. He's got to go get some stuff done. Thank you so much for you and everybody else in the chat. But that probably is our cue to wrap things up for the day. So thank you
Yeah.
so much, Sydney. I super appreciate it. I always have fun. And thank you for putting up with me twice this week.
No problem. Thank you, Shannon.
And then,
Um,
yeah, next week we will be here the third Saturday of the month. And yeah, get ready for Halloween then.
which I believe is it October 19th? I believe it's October 19th is when we'll be
Perfect.
live on my channel.
Over at Sydney's channel. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We
Bye.
always appreciate it and have fun with you here. Bye.
Bye.